Draw a diagram to represent the situation. Alright, the number of miles driven this month was a 30% decrease of the number of miles driven last month. Okay, so let's start with the original. Let's start with last month. Let's call this right here. This right here is last month. Last month. Alright, and we are breaking that down into 30%. Alright, so 30%. Let's see, that's about 50, 60, 70. So let's say this is 30% and this is 70%. Right? Okay, so we've broken it down into 30%. Now, the number of miles we've driven this month is 30% less of last month's total. So we don't want to tack on another 30. We essentially just want this 30% to go away. And so this right here, this 70 represents this month. This is this month, and then the total would have been last month. Alright, part B. The amount of paper the copy shop used this month was 25% increase of the amount that they used last month. So once again, let's start with the original, what we had last month. Okay, so this is last. And let's break it into quarters, because that's what 25% represents. So 25, 25, 25, so on and so forth, right? And we're going to increase this last month total by one of those 25s. We're going to add an additional 25% on. So the amount for this month would be 125%. Pretty easy stuff. Alright, let's go ahead and do number 5. Which decimal is the best estimate of the fraction 29 over 30? Now, when I'm asked to estimate, I change a number to something that makes it easier to know mental. So that right there, if that number was a 30, this would be really easy to break down into a simpler number. And if you know your quarters, you know that this is 75%. Okay, so if I raise that and make it bigger and it's close to 75, then the 29 would make that shrink a little bit, which is making me lean toward the 7 more so than the 8, because I made this larger by increasing the numerator. Right? 30 40ths is bigger than 29 40ths, so I'm guessing it's going to lean more toward the 7 than it is the 8. Now you could always just type in your calculator 29 divided by 40 and see which one of those it's closest to, which would be 7. But that's how I do it in my head in estimation skills. And let's go ahead and wrap this up, because I think we can finish the last problem. Could 7.2 inches and 28 inches be the diameter and circumference of the same circle? Well, the only way that these two things can be circumference and diameter is if their relationship is what constant of proportionality. And yes, you said it at home, I heard you, it must be pi. So when I divide 7.2, I get 3.8 repeating of the same. Explain why I'm wrong. I'm going to say no. The relationship should have a constant of pi, not 3.8 repeating. Now, I guess it could be if somebody that really stinks at measuring has, tried to work with this circle, but it's definitely not a perfect circle. It doesn't match. We should have a relationship where I can multiply that by 3.14 and get it. But it doesn't work here, so I'm going to say no to that.